Welcome to the Voice of Change, where advocacy meets action. I'm your host, Linda, a dedicated community leader for the voiceless. We explore the stories and shape our local communities while inspiring of change. Please be sure to follow me at Linda Advocate on Instagram and follow my blog at the Times of Israel, where my articles consistently end with calls to action to encourage readers and participate in constructive change. Today, we are focusing on an organization that has been in the media consistently critical humanitarian they do. ZAKA Emergency Response Organization in Israel, known for the rapid and compassionate response to disasters, accidents, and of course, terror incidents. The angels at ZAKA provide invaluable search and rescue and, of course, recovery. ZAKA is deeply committed to treating all the affected with the utmost respect, adhering to Jewish law. ZAKA is a cornerstone of Israel's emergency response system, demonstrating unwavering dedication to humanitarian work. And it is with this understanding of ZAKA's unbelievably crucial work that I am pleased to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Greinman. Welcome, Mr. Greinman.
Hi.
So, Mr. Greinman is a father, a grandfather, and he has been a volunteer with ZAKA International for 32 years. And in the wake of the October 7th atrocities, his role involves now in ensuring that the houses in the forest are cleared of any human remains. And in addition, he recently addressed the United Nations in early December, and now he's back in New York to fundraise for ZAKA, addressing the urgent need for resources. Mr. Greinman, can you share with the audience how you first learned about October 7th? Where were you? What was your initial response to the news?
Okay, so basically, as you said, I'm 32 years of volunteering in ZAKA International, and I'm an MT also. And on Yom Tov and Shabbos, basically 24/7, I have my phone on me. And if my phone rings, even if it's on Shabbos or Yom Kippur, I answer the phone. Basically, 2:20, between 2:20 and 2:30, my phone rang on Simcha Shabbos, and I answered the phone. On the other side of the phone, there was someone from the army, calling me in the service. I asked what's going on, and the side of that, the side where I live in Eretz Yisrael is not really someplace that we really hear or see. Or in my community, everything is Shomer Shabbos, so no one's really hearing the news or seeing the television or something like that. So basically, my phone rang, so I had to answer, and that's when I started hearing something going on around Eretz Yisrael. We didn't get all the details. And I was asked to drive down towards Ashkelon. That was the main point of collection, people gathering over there, the rescue teams and around the hospital in Ashkelon. And ZAKA has different units in their organization, volunteers. One of the parts is like Misaskin. Okay, we have tents, we have Aron Kodesh, we have Sefer Torah, and we have a truck for that. Basically, we use the truck for moving stuff from place to place for families that are sitting Shiva. And that truck is basically 24/7, 36 days a year under my house. If we need it, give me a call, and I move the stuff from place to place. And we have that truck, especially for those purposes. Well, 3 years ago in Miron, we had the tragedy there of 45 people that got killed.
Of course, yes, we remember.
I took on that truck 14 bodies from that tragedy. And so when I got the call responding that something's going on, I was asked to bring the truck with me. I understood that we're talking about a big amount of bodies, but no one thought we're talking about this amount.
To that amount, yes.
Yeah. So
When
basically,
you visited, oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I was just going to say, when you visited the scenes were with your first responders, was the military still battling Hamas?
So I'm gonna start explaining what happened, and it wasn't easy at all. Well, I was driving towards Sderot, towards Ashkelon, and in the middle of the way, I was told, don't stop in Ashkelon, drive straight to Sderot because you need it over there more than the hospital. So I headed towards Sderot. I got to route number 34, and it was like I would say it was like at the lights between the highway 34 and 232, the junction over there. And well, when I stopped the truck at the light, I saw in front of my eyes something that I never saw before. I saw cars. Some of the cars were flipped over. Some of the cars were
Oh
burned.
my God.
And outside the cars, I saw bodies. I said to the guys with me in the truck, listen, something is wrong over here. Oh, we didn't hear a missile, the siren, and a missile hit. Oh, there was a bad car accident, and there is no responders over here. There's no police. There's no fire department. No one was here. So I said, okay, before we get out of the truck, let's call to hear if what's going on over here. Oh, let's call for more help. Well, basically, I called my superiors in ZAKA, and Chaim Weingarten, he called me. He answered the phone. He says to me, Simcha, don't stop the truck. Keep on driving. I said, what's the problem? Why can't there's bodies outside cars, and we have to make sure that we collect them. We can't leave them on the highway. So he says to me, listen to him. If you stop for more than 2 seconds in one place, you become a target. I said, what do you mean a target? He says there are terrorists everywhere around in the fields, hiding in different corners. In any second, you could be hit by a grenade, or shot at, or even a missile could hit you. Don't stop the truck. So
Wow.
I listened to what he told me, and we drove down towards Shara Negev. It's basically a 3-minute drive on normal basis. It took us 9 minutes to drive in between the cars and the bodies that were on the road. But when I got to Shara Negev, that's the entrance of Sderot, then I understood what's going on. There was a pile of 20 bodies waiting for me already for the truck. 20 bodies outside in a pile. That was in the entrance of Sderot. And then as we came to the circle over there, the entrance, there were 2 trucks from the Hamas guys, these terrorists, were burned, and one was totally flipped over, and there was an ambulance burned over there. And all the time we were hearing still the shooting in the police station in Sderot.
Wow.
It's like a minute and a half from the entrance from Sharon Egan. So I parked the truck, and we started loading the bodies. And during the time we were loading the bodies, we brought more bodies. So basically, we left that corner over there with 22 bodies in the truck already. I'm talking about Miron. We made 1 layer on the truck, and we said that's it, because cover the mace. We want to make sure that they're not laying one on top of each other.
Right.
Here, we had already 22 bodies, so it was very, very like stuffed. The whole floor was like full of the truck. And I said to Chaim, and I met him over there. I said to him, Chaim, the truck is full. He says to me, what are you talking about? The truck is full. We can't leave any bodies on the highway. So whatever you drove by now, by this 9 minutes, we need to drive back with army support around us and making sure that no one hits us, no one shoots us,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to collect all these bodies. So we drove back. Those 9 minutes of the drive took us 4.5 hours to collect 38 bodies on the highway then. We went car by car. There were people in their cars shot, but not one bullet. Tens of bullets, hundreds of bullets were shot towards the cars. We got to the car, there were two kids sitting in the back seat, tied, still in their chairs. The parents were shot outside the car. We had cars that were burned totally, and as a volunteer in ZAKA, we deal with burned cars, sometimes in highways, cars that burned. And basically, usually what we have a skeleton. But over here, when we tried picking up the skeleton, whatever was left, the bones, they disintegrated in our hands because they were using not only grenades that they threw into the cars, they used different liquids that became, the heat in the car became up to like 600 degrees. So whatever we touched, wherever we try to pick up the bones, they became to ashes. We had to bring a vacuum system to vacuum every corner of the car to be able to collect all the evidence and whatever we had in those cars. Every corner, make sure we make a different bag, because every bag had to be for a different person that was sitting in the car. Now you can't identify from those ashes. Basically, when you have a burned body, you have to try to take DNA samples from the teeth. Over here, you're talking about 600 degrees. There was nothing left. Nothing. It was
Right. In fact, I
ashes
heard
and
that there were
ashes.
people that were originally suggested as maybe taken to Gaza, and then later we found out that these people were burnt, like to
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
describing, that there was no way to identify. So, are they currently all
Basically,
identified?
first of all, until now, not all of them were identified. They have a special, after 9/11 in a state in America, they understood that they had to make a machine that they could uh, get out DNA from ashes.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a very special machine that could do that. And the only place in the world that they have one is in America. And to build a new machine like that takes 7 months, and to bring the one from America to Israel takes 3 months. So they left one in America, and they started building right away one in Israel, and they're sending samples all the time from Israel to the
Oh, wow.
States to be able to get identification. So they're sending every time small boxes of special pieces of parts that they could try getting out the DNA from those pieces. And Baruch Hashem, we're able slowly and surely to get DNA samples from all those bodies. But it's going to take time. It takes time, and it's going to still take time until we finish everything. Well, we
So,
finished that. We
yeah.
finished that road around 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
We're talking about, this is the only way to Shabbos. We're not talking about what happened the rest of the week. Basically, we finished over there, and then we heard all the time that we were collecting the bodies. Some other guys were saying the party, the party, the party. So what's going on? What are you talking about party? We're working on highways, working on the entrances of the road. We still hear shooting over there, and there's missiles flying all the time over our heads. It's not like that all of a sudden it stopped. You hear the shooting all over. You hear missiles and the sirens all the time. And every like 5-10 minutes, another missile. So you're running, laying on the floor, your hands over your head, because there are no shelters in the middle of a highway. There are shelters in different corners of intersections and stuff like that, but you couldn't walk into those shelters. There were bodies in every shelter. There were bodies, and those shelters they were thrown in grenades. So a lot of the bodies were like parts and parts. So that itself took us hours to collect and trying to put every piece into the right bag, or making sure that it's marked in the right way, that you could try to identify as much as possible before you have to take it for tests. But that wasn't easy at all. And then around 2 o'clock, we understood that they need more help around the party area. So we continued towards the party area. We added more bodies on the truck. Basically, that evening, around 4:30, I started heading towards Shura. Shura is a place that's a morgue that the army put army base. They made it into a morgue to be able to identify all the bodies. Because basically, in a normal situation, we have a morgue. It's called Abu Kabir in Tel Aviv, and that's where usually they take bodies that have to get identification or special care or different ways of dealing with it. And in this situation, we're talking about so many bodies. Uh, that's a lot of bodies that they couldn't handle in such a big amount of bodies. So they used that army base for this situation. I was driving towards the base in Shura. A very close friend of mine, he's also a medic. We volunteer together, and every Thursday evening, from 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the evening until 7 o'clock in the morning, 12 hours of a shift. We do that for at least 5 or 6 years already. And so I called him up. He's in the army. He's one of the head commanders in Shura. So I called him up. I said, Yossi, I'm on my way with the truck. So he says to me, yeah, for sure. Who if not you? So I said to him, yeah, okay, I'm on my way to you. So he says to me, okay, so what do you have in the truck? So I said, I have salad. He says to me, what do you mean salad? I said, yeah, I have police officers, I have soldiers, I have civilians, and even I have also Hamas guys, terrorists. So he says to me, what? I said to him, yeah, well, this is a situation where we're told we have to clear off the highways and the roads, and we can't leave any bodies on the highways because young soldiers are going to be driving into Gaza. And if they see bodies on the highways, even if it's terrorists, if they see bodies and we didn't know what's going on still, we're talking about a big amount of terrorists. And basically, if they're going to be seeing these bodies, for sure, we're dealing with Yiddish people, so cover the mace is very important. So as cover the mace is, also cover the chaim. People are deceased. You don't want to see a person deceased laying around on the highway, on the streets, and that's cover the mace. And all these young soldiers driving in, if they see that, it's going to ruin their moral, and they're not going to be able to continue doing whatever they need to do.
So to be clear,
So
it was not in respect to the, of course, the Hamas terrorists. It was really just for the morale
no,
of the
just the
soldiers coming.
morale is
Okay.
exactly. The
Yeah.
soldiers had to be able to continue driving by and not getting scared or not getting into shock, seeing bodies in different situations.
Right. I just wanted to clarify.
We had to clear out the highways. And so I drove down to Shura. It took them 3.5 hours to clear out the truck with all the bodies to be able to put them in different divisions, because they had police, as I said, they had police officers, they had soldiers, they had civilians, and terrorists. So they had, each one went into a certain container to be able to work on them later on and identifying them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wasn't easy starting with those roads. 7 o'clock in the morning, I headed back towards that 323 road, collecting more and more and more bodies. While we were collecting the bodies, as I said, the night before and that morning, we had the army around the truck with ammo ready. Anyone even jumps out of anywhere will be safe. And Basically, that's what happened, exactly. We were standing in one point collecting bodies, and out of one of the fields jumped out two terrorists and shot towards us. And one of the commanders got hit and was dropped into my hands.
Oh my gosh.
We couldn't save him. It was a very hard day from that moment to continue working by losing another person in our own hands. Laying in the ditch beside the, you look to your right side, look to your left side, wherever you look, you see a body. You say to yourself, what am I doing here? Why am I laying in a ditch? Why did I come? Why aren't with my family, my kids, my grandchildren? Well, basically, I remembered the purpose that I'm in that place. B'makom she'ein ish, yeh ish. The Mishnah says that in a place that a person has to be a person, okay? B'makom she'ein ish, where you're standing in a situation that no one else could do what you're doing, you have to be the man on the scene. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't put anyone in a situation that he can't stand it. Sometimes you're strong enough, sometimes you struggle, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you a purpose in life. And that's our purpose as a first responder and a Chesed Shalemis person dealing with the dead. You could do it. We could do whatever we're doing. Some other people weren't capable of doing what we're doing. We have 4,000, close to 4,000 volunteers in ZAKA International in Chesed Shalemis division. I'm not talking about other divisions like divers or 4x4, dog unit, different other units of Chesed Shalemis. Basically, not everyone came to the scenes. Some of them were scared. Some of the guys weren't capable of coming out of the house, hearing the numbers, and dealing with the situation. It's not that everyone's not trained the same. Everyone's trained.
Hello? I lost you. Oh, there
Yeah,
you
I'm
are.
saying, yeah. I'm saying not everyone is capable of doing what we're doing. And by doing what we did is something that in this situation, I saw that this is my purpose in life in these minutes. People ask me, so how did you cope with the situation? Basically, when you're dealing with whatever you're dealing in front of your eyes, as a medic, you make sure that you're saving a life. When you're dealing with bodies, you make sure that you're doing the right chesed shalamis, that the person in front of you is deceased and no one else around you could help him. So you're the right person in the right place, in the right position to do it on the best respect way, and the best way that you could do this chesed that no one in the world could pay you for it or ask you to do it, and other people wouldn't do it, but you're the right person, right point, and
Wow.
that's what we did. We were
This,
collecting bodies and parts of bodies, and different hard situations.
let me
Now,
ask you, and this
now,
this was the most deadly attack that Israel has seen since the Holocaust. I can't imagine how you stay composed while you're seeing such carnage, but I'm just curious, is there a particular scene that you can't escape from your mind that you just like you saw and it's just it stayed with you?
for sure. We walked into one of the kibbutzim, and there was a birthday cake sitting on a table in one of the houses. when you see a birthday cake on Yontif or Shabbos, even a birthday, it's something they're happy.
Of course.
It's joyful, something that you get excited, and you right away look around to see whose birthday it was. So what do? You look straight to the fridge, because usually people have their pictures on the refrigerator, and there were kids in those pictures, and parents, and a grandmother, and you say to yourself, well, we didn't come to eat cake, and the harsh smell that burned bodies was coming from the back room. And I took out my flashlight, and we were walking towards the back room, and we got to the safe room. Basically, that was supposed to be the safe room in the house. It was something like a bonfire in the middle of the room. I put my flashlight on, and that's what I saw. In the middle of the room, like a pile, something that you can't describe.
The fire was still actively on while you were there?
No, no, no. There was still smoke, and there was very, very harsh smell.
Uh-huh.
And I looked from the bottom towards the top, and I saw two little skulls of the children's heads. And so I looked right away towards the top, and then I saw another three skulls of heads. Basically, that was two kids and parents and a grandmother that used to live in the same house.
Wow.
They were hugging each other, basically, when they were getting burned to death. It was very, very hard as a father, as a grandfather,
Of
to
course.
think about what you see, to understand what you see, and then to take apart that circle of connection, those last minutes of that family together as one circle of life, taking them apart, one from each other, laying them down on the earth, putting them into bags, and walking by that birthday cake, seeing the faces of those children, seeing the faces of the beautiful family, the parents, the grandmother from the pictures, and saying to yourself, this is what I'm dealing with now. That's something that when you come home, you're still in shock.
Of course. Let me ask you, I'm just wondering, how does your faith stay solid? Because I
I
don't see what you
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh,
You're getting
I'm
cut off.
asking for sure. Asking, how does your faith stay? Because I know people who don't see what you saw and who just talk about October 7th. And I actually know someone who became an atheist after October 7th.
The last few week, we're talking about we're now finishing a 13 week from Simchas Torah. I don't say the date from that view of life because we're Jews, and as Jews, we try to speak about what we really see, and what we see is Simchas Torah. You can't call it the dark Shabbos or the black
Right.
Shabbos that people
Of
call it,
course. Yeah.
because Shabbos can never be black, and Shabbos can never be something bad. It's a tragedy for sure. It happened on Shabbos, but that Shabbos was Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah is the most lighting time of finishing the Torah, starting the Torah again. By finishing the Bible and starting the Bible again, that's something that every person in the world that reads a book, when he finishes, he throws it away. He says, okay, I understood. I read it. I understand it. Okay, that's it. Enough for me. But Simchas Torah is a day of circling the life of Klal Yisrael. And we finish the Torah and we start the Torah. That shows that life never finishes. Life never ends. And there's always a continuation. Basically, it started on Simchas Torah, Chumash Bereshis. We're standing now. Chumash Bereshis is called the Book of Names. Why Book of Names? Well, basically, you have Adam, Rishon, and Chava, and then you have Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all the names of the Avos Kedoshim, the 12 Shvatim. And this week, we started Shmos. Basically, Shmos is not book of names at all. That's a book of klal. And dealing with chesed shel emes, you're not dealing with yourself. You're dealing with a klal. And by dealing with a klal, by dealing with something that's much bigger than you, if you take care of yourself only in those moments, you couldn't take care of only yourself because people around you needed your help. And this is what we take from here. By dealing with situations like this, by putting yourself in someone else's hand, dealing with someone else's, well, basically now it's their problem, it's my problem. By taking it over to you instead of leaving it for someone else to deal with. No, I took it on me. Collecting the bodies, coming, making sure that these families have their beloveds to say that, okay, they were buried. They have where to go and daven to Hashem, cry, and know that they came to Kibbutz Yisrael and not burned or gone and they don't know where they are or what's the situation with them. Were they captured? Are they someplace in Gaza? No. We were able to identify them. Most of them were able to identify them. They were able to sit Shiva. They were able to mourn by knowing that they're gone. And not only that, that's towards halacha, towards the law of people that have Yerushas, money-wise, and all that. If you don't have identification about the person, you can't do anything with their belongings. Almanas, they can get married again because we're able to identify.
Right.
And all these things is not thinking about yourself, but you're thinking about someone else. Basically, and the last 9 weeks, the government put me in charge to make sure that every house, every scene, all the kibbutzim, from Sderot until Kisufim, from side to side of Gaza, I'm in charge to sign on every house that was cleared. No blood, no tissue samples or bones were left in these houses from all the scenes. So I know exactly what happened in any kibbutz, every house, every street, every path in the kibbutzim, all around the Otef, from Sderot to Kisufim, towards the end, all the 24 kibbutzim that were hit, all the highways, every story that happened, I know. And not only that I know how many bodies were taken out from every place, but one thing I don't know names at all. I made sure that I know numbers. According to numbers of the houses, that's how we worked. Every house had a number. Every car that came out had a number. And according to that way, I'm able to cope with the situation and continue doing what I'm doing, the chesed.
I understand.
A lot of people around me weren't capable to continue working to cope with the situation, with the hard stories, with the stuff that we dealt with. Children, older people, sick people laying in their own beds, getting butchered and killed in brutal ways. Women, different situations.
Well, I was going to actually touch on that because considering all the evidence of the atrocities, the mutilation, the gruesome acts of violence, the barbarism, the sexual assaults, how do you respond to the people in the global community who say that these atrocities are fabricated? They're made up.
Listen, first of all, I'm ashamed even to speak about it because we as ZAKA members, we're part of the UN consideration of understanding that ZAKA stands for our organization that deals international with bodies. In my 32 years, we flew around the countries around the world. We flew to Haiti. We flew to Bombay. We flew to uh, Turk. We flew to different countries, Islamic, and we dealt 7 months ago. We saved 16 or 18 Islamic people after they had the earthquake in Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the countries that now are coming against Israel
Right.
and making up different kinds of excuses why not to believe and why not to listen to what we dealt with. When I stood up in the UN, I stood up because what I dealt with my own hands and my own eyes, hundreds of bodies, women in situations that it's hard to explain what happened to them. Bringing the evidence with me to to show whoever asked or someone that even made a comment about what we dealt with. I have all the evidence. What I was dealing with. I have all the pictures, all the videos of all the scenes that I dealt with, one by one. Basically, according to halacha, the first thing that we do when we come to a deceased person, anyway, any situation, I'm talking about highways, car accidents, people that were deceased at home. The first thing that we do is cover the mace. We cover the body.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that you learn to be, if you want to be a volunteer in ZAKA, number one, never take a picture of anyone on a scene. Because you wouldn't like it
Of course.
if someone would be seeing pictures of someone of your family rolling around in different situations,
Of course.
naked, oh, in bad shape. People need to take it in consideration. As a Jew, for sure, we have a special way of dealing with these situations as giving the deceased as much as possible cover the mace to make sure that we keep whatever is possible privacy
Right.
and
Their
and and
dignity.
and,
Right.
and dignity for sure. And the Islam are exactly the opposite. They take pictures and they make everything, they show everything. They have no respect to that. And as we saw on the GoPro cameras,
Right.
they were videoing it, sending it live to the parents, sending it live to different Islamic world places
Yeah, it was
around the
on
globe,
Facebook, Telegram, all over. Sure.
and showing what they're doing on
Mm-hmm.
live. The
Mm-hmm.
Germans, by the Holocaust, the whole world didn't believe that it happened at the beginning because they were hiding it. Over here, they weren't hiding it at all. They were doing it in a way that they are not afraid. They're going to show the world that they're not afraid. And this is what the Islam is. And this is what the barbarian Hamas are. And it's not easy. It's not easy to live in a situation like this because the difference between Israel and Europe is $400 a ticket, a plane ticket, anywhere around the globe they can be. And we know how many people are now the Islam people that came into Europe in the past few years. It can happen anywhere around the world.
For sure.
And saying, no, it never happened, or any reason why it should happen, well, I'll tell you the truth. I feel bad for the Palestinian people. I'm not talking about terrorists. I'm talking about people that live in Gaza. And we're not talking about the barbarians that came with the terrorists
Right.
to rape and steal and just have a party, because we saw what happened after these monsters came in and killed. We
Hmm.
saw a whole parade coming in after them and taking whatever they were capable to take, and taking civilian people and capture. We're not talking about terrorists. We're talking about civilians, people that lived in Gaza as citizens.
Right.
And when you have citizens helping and giving respect to the terrorists, you need to understand it's a different view of seeing things in your life.
For sure.
And for sure, there are people that they don't want it. They want peace. For sure, there are people that they're hoping that one day something will happen. But we're talking about over here in this situation. This is a different situation. This is the basics of kill to live.
Right.
Oh, and we couldn't, Am Yisrael couldn't just stand and watch and look from the side and say, okay, they killed 1,400 people. So years and years they're in captures, and years they're in a situation that we need to support them and give them medication. People in kibbutzim were thinking that those years back in those years. Well, we could be good neighbors. We could support them and give them jobs. We could take them to hospitals and help them and give them good care. And those are the people that are now captured in Gaza.
Yes. Right. I
A
was
lot
told
of
that.
those people.
Yeah. That they were pivotal in trying to promote peace and, like you said, take them
For
back and
sure.
forth. And
For
yeah.
sure. For
And this
sure.
is how they
And
got
now,
repaid.
and
Yeah.
exactly, by trusting those barbarians, doing like, well, looking to the other side by saying, well, they're suffering also. Well, that's not an answer. The world itself comes and complains. All the world is speaking about Israel is doing atrocities against
This side. Yeah.
the
Right.
population over there. So what are you willing to do to help them? What are you willing to do to stop it by helping them? Taking 20,000 Palestinians into your country? Did Jordan offer that? Did Egypt offer that? Did any Islamic worldwide
Right. No, no, of course not,
would do
because they
that?
have to
For sure not.
perpetuate. Of course not.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Let me.
they're not coming with any solutions for the people. Well, Israel for many years was able and trying to come to peace and trying to help out. And you know what? Gush Katif. If
For
that
sure.
was for sure,
Exactly.
were were
Gave.
banned were kicked out of the houses.
Yeah.
People were scary what happened those days. And now you're complaining? Now after they killed 1,400 people, women,
And still have
children,
hostages.
for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Now you're
I think.
coming yeah,
No, I just think that in a broader sense, many Israelis and Jews of the diaspora, I think we feel, I guess, abandoned by the United Nations, and not to speak of the many branches like the United Women's Rights agencies. And I mean, you were speaking to the fact that in December, you, along with some 800 people, including women's activists and diplomats representing, I think, 40 countries, went into the chamber of the United headquarters to present them with the ample evidence. What was the reaction after you finished speaking and showing them what you showed them?
Well, after I spoke, I can tell you that one thing for sure. When I spoke, you could hear a pin drop on the carpet. It was so quiet. And 500 people stood up and cheered for what I said after I spoke as much as I was able to speak. I was so heartbroken in that situation, standing in front of the world. Not only that we were attacked, not only that we were brutally injured and people were killed in brutal ways, we also need to stand beside ourselves and prove it. And sometimes they come with different stupid things that they come out with. They say there was there was there was never the Holocaust never happened, but Benjamin Netanyahu is a Nazi. So it's like, didn't you just say that the Holocaust never happened? So how could
Right.
it be Netanyahu
Exactly.
is a Nazi? Okay,
Right.
so all these
Illogically, an
there
illogical
are,
sentence
yeah,
right there, for sure.
exactly. So basically, this is where we're standing today. And if the world doesn't understand the situation, that there are for sure good Islamic people. No one said there aren't.
Of course.
But the situation that these Hamas members are hatred and poison, not only in Gaza itself, but all around the world. And they're poisoning every good population anywhere around the world. You can see it in the States. Anywhere you walk today, people are afraid to walk in 5 towns or in
Yeah.
different areas anywhere around New York. You walk down Manhattan today with a yarmulke, you get spit out. And you hope that you can get to the next road without getting beaten or hit or yelled out for sure.
Unfortunately, we're seeing what we saw in Europe few years back, now visiting, America and North America. You mentioned earlier in our conversation that you'll be visiting Congress. And in fact, there was a bipartisan group of members of Congress that released a letter calling for the United Nations agency, open quotes, woefully unsatisfactory and consistent with the United Nations longstanding bias against Israel, close quote. What is your goal in addressing Congress, and are you in any way involved in advocating for the hostages as well?
For sure. Our heart rips out for the families that the children and the parents, oh, even the brothers and sisters are still captured. It's something that we daven every day, matir asurim, and you say to yourself, why am I davening for that? As a child, what do you understand when you say, okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, release captured people? When did that happen? What are we dealing with? But
Mm.
now it has a different meaning. Achenu kol Beis Yisrael. All of a sudden, wow, you think about what you say. When you say a Perek Tehillim every day, try not to say the same one. So you say it out of a siddur. So you say it out of a Tehillim. Because when you say the same thing day after day, it becomes something that you don't take it really serious. By saying Achenu kol Beis Yisrael after saying a Perek Tehillim that you broke your teeth a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit different. And you think to yourself, these people are 13 weeks already captured in underground and who knows where, not getting fed. Sometimes they forget to give them food. If they give them food, if they give them medication, they're older people, the young soldiers, they were brutally beaten up when they were taken captured. Some of them were shot. Some of them were in different situations.
Right.
And we have to daven to Hashem.
Well, yeah, and we saw the videos that came out today of I think it was about four girls that unfortunately, and it was just when they were captured. So that was like on day one, and they looked terrible. And definitely their eyes told a story of complete fear and torture. So,
For
and
sure.
like you said, now we're, so much further in. It's just absolutely frightening. Sadly, I just want to pivot a little. Sadly, in Israel, there is a division between the more Haredi community and others. Do you feel that your work bridges the gap to, maybe lessen the division? And in fact, I believe that Bibi Netanyahu actually spoke to that recently when somebody was saying some nasty things about the Haredim, and he said, "Well, look at what ZAKA's doing." Can you speak to that?
Yes, for sure. ZAKA basically years back wasn't really popular so much. Oh, buses were blowing up, cars were burning, terrorists were attacking from different angles. But again, they got used to it. So, as one of the governments used to say, that's part of a sacrificing of peace by people dying on different situations. Those years we were looking at it like, what are you talking about? Peace? This is called peace? But basically today we know what peace is and what peace isn't. Um, well, ZAKA stands for ZAKA, Zain Kuf Aleph. ZAKA means, it stands for Zihui Korbanot Ason, identifying tragically bodies in different situations. That's what it stands for. Until Simchas Torah. And from Simchas Torah, we use ZAKA as Ze Kiruv Achim.
Oh wow.
Ze, Ze Kiruv Achim means
Yeah.
this is the one that gathers the brothers together and be Mikar of them one to each other. And that's what we do. This is what we dealt with, situations that no one in the world wants to deal with. Not even the soldiers in the army that basically are trained to do these things on battlefields. They weren't capable of doing this. And we were there as Haredis or not Haredis, men, women. We have everything in ZAKA. We have men, women, uh, Arabs, Israeli Arabs, Islamic Arabs, Christians, everything. Whoever wants to join ZAKA has to learn the halachos, need to
Wow.
understand the meanings of everything. And as I said, never take a picture. Only in this situation that we were asked to do that after 2 days. After 2 days,
Right.
when we understood what we were standing in front, and we understood that the world is not going to believe what we were dealing with. We had a special understanding with the Rabbanim, V'ad Rabbanim, and we were told from now on you have to take pictures to make sure that we have all the information that we could, if we
Right.
needed.
The evidence. Right. For sure.
But that was a little bit late after 2 days. But we did our ishtadlus, and as I said, we don't need, not only that we were hit, not only that we got killed, raped, murdered in brutal ways, we need to prove it. Who are you to ask us to prove a situation after we have all those cameras and the GoPros
Right.
of their bodies? And not only that, the bodies spoke to them for themselves. You could see children shot from zero distance. You could see the faces, their shock, the situation that the bodies were tied, arms behind their back. Women in different situations laying on their own beds in their own bedrooms. These are things that we don't need to give any answers to anyone in the world. You don't need to believe us. We need to protect ourselves. And this is a situation. And if we need to stand up for ourselves, this is the right place that we're standing up now as one nation, and the world has to understand Am Yisrael is one. And Am Yisrael is always going to be together. And this
Is
is
that
this is this is it.
right? Well, I just, as we draw our conversation to a close, I really want to take a moment to highlight um, that we're painfully reminded of the invaluable work that, you know, ZAKA does, particularly in the aftermath of the brutal murders. ZAKA volunteers, with their unwavering commitment and their deep sense of duty, have undertaken the difficult, emotionally taxing, somber work of identifying victims. And the harsh reality really is that ZAKA, services unfortunately are really needed. And of course, I want to implore people to donate to ZAKA to uphold human dignity in the most challenging circumstances, ensuring in times of unimaginable tragedy that skilled and compassionate people such as yourself and your team who understand and know halacha carry out these necessary tasks. And I really just want to urge everyone to consider the profound impact of ZAKA, their work, and support them. We have to stand with you in the mission to support, the work that you do in the aftermath of the tragedy. Is there anything that you like to say to the audience before I let you go? Because I know that you have a very busy week ahead of you.
And it's basically, we need to understand one thing. Any member of ZAKA that was on the scenes or even wasn't on the scenes, but is part of ZAKA, has to go at least for 12 sessions, private sessions, one-on-one. That's what we are dealing now with. That each one of our guys in ZAKA, every volunteer has to go through these 12 sessions. We're talking about almost 4,000 volunteers. So that's one thing that we as ZAKA, we know that if we make sure that the volunteers go through it, we'll be able to continue dealing with what we're dealing. Because we're not talking about our own life. We're talking about our families, our children behind us, our wife, our businesses, everyone around us. If we don't get the right care, we can't continue living our life as before, for sure, after what we saw. That's number one. Number two, we for sure get support from the government for this situation, but that's only for groups. By having a group, you never know if everyone gets the right care. By speaking, this one does speak, this one doesn't speak, and then it comes out that some of the guys fall in between. That's the reason we made sure that all our members get a full 12 sessions. Each one has to, and you can't continue being a volunteer if you don't go through it. That's number one. Number two, we're getting ready. Chas v'shalom. We see every day what's going up north. And what we had down south, it's peanuts what chas v'shalom could happen up north. Because over there in Gaza, you're talking about missiles that are homemade. You're talking about up north, you're talking about Hezbollah. Hezbollah is an army. They have rockets
the capability.
they could one rocket could crush a building in a second anywhere around the country, from Haifa to Tel Aviv to Yerushalayim, anywhere around the country. It could be a mass graveyard. And we're talking about, well, hundreds of missiles in a day. So as ZAKA volunteers, first of all, we need to take care of ourselves for now.
Absolutely.
And not only that, we have to be prepared. So we're talking about ambulances, 4x4 4x4 cars, jeeps, and a lot of preparing different things that we need, that we learned from this situation, what we need on the scenes. And we have to be ready. We have to get more trucks. As I said, my truck took 72 bodies. If we wouldn't have that truck that evening, it took us 2 or 3 days until they were able to hire more trucks and bring them to the scenes. If ZAKA would have more trucks on the scenes, for sure, we would be able to collect more bodies faster and to be able to identify faster. By identifying according to halacha, it should be as fast as you could, because when you see the face of the person according to halacha, that's the best. If not, you have to start dealing with different tests and DNA tests and teeth and different situations. But Baruch Hashem, we were able to do whatever we were capable. But as I said, there's a lot of needs in ZAKA. And for sure, if there's anyone that wants to be part of the chesed that not everyone's capable of doing, but we are the people that were capable of doing it, being our partners, being part of the chesed of Klal Yisrael, making sure that these people get to burial according to halacha, and everything should be on time, and the families should be happy that they have places to go to mourn, to sit shiva on time, not to wait for months and months and months to know what happened or what is happening. This is what ZAKA is doing. And for sure, any penny that goes to being a partner goes especially to these situations. And we need a lot. And whoever could be a member, a partner, you're there with us on the scenes, hugging us, helping us continue with our families, going back home, smiling, living our life with our children, continue working and not falling apart. That's the main thing that we're hoping that Kodesh Baruch Hu should give us koyach. Every Shabbos, I call all the superiors in ZAKA. I leave a message on the WhatsApp group and I say, you should know, we had a rough week. We had a rough 3 months. And every Shabbos, we daven to Hashem. Shabbos, hi meliza refuah krov v'lovah. The Shabbos should give us the strength to continue doing what we're doing for the next week and the next week and the next week. Because our soul has to get strong to be able to continue to have the koiches to live our life and continue being who we really are. And we have to do what we're doing. And we have to thank Klal Yisrael for supporting us.
Of course. Can you tell us how much, like, for example, the group therapy costs, for example?
Well, basically, we're talking about groups of 12 people in a session. Mm-hmm. That's every group is six and six, but to be able to do a group, that's the way we worked going into the houses by six. Every group was 6 guys, 6 members that walked into the house. So the 6 as a group know each other's story. And by speaking as groups, it's easier to cope with the situation. But then you have to be able to sit one by one and getting the personal help. Well, there is no price list because we don't know how much it costs.
They're needed, really, right?
The situation. Basically, we're talking about, as I said, at least 12 sessions, at least. That's what we're asking the members to go through, and that was our main goal for each one, that you can continue doing ZAKA Chesed Shalom if you don't go through the sessions.
So I'd like to be a part of your work, and I'm donating $1,000 towards ZAKA. And I really hope and implore my audience, who I know, is very compassionate and very on board with what you're doing, to also be very generous and open their pockets for your work, and to really essentially be as much of a partner as we can be with you.
Basically, first of all, thank you for what you're doing for us, and doing this blog
the least
is
we can do.
For sure going to give us a lot of help and koyach to continue to do the chesed that we're doing. But hopefully in the future few days, we're going to have on our site all the information about how much costs each session and how much is a group. Basically, we're asking the people to try to take at least 12 members for a full session. So we have groups ready, and we can start taking care of the guys. And we'll have a plan and a list of prices, how much costs every group, and how much is an extra session or a group session. All these things we're going to have on our site. And basically, the donations are going straight into the account of ZAKA, and we appreciate everything that you're doing.
Well, I'm going to be posting that link for the audience so that everyone is able to click on it and donate. And I want to thank you again for taking your time to speak with us. And we wish you tremendous success, and may Hashem protect you and bless you with only good for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, and Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai. Toda.
Thank you.